And something else turned up this morning, which is very exciting. And no, not the digestive biscuits, they are already here. And not the blue model, but the red model of the Lancia Stratos from a viewer in Australia who I chat with quite a lot, actually. Very nice chap. Lee Robert Slater, a guitarist, rock guitarist. So thank you very much, Lee. I'm going to look this model up because I have a feeling it's vintage. How about that? Meantime, I'm going to Phoenix tomorrow to enjoy the 107 degrees apparently that's forecast. And we're obviously going to be working on the Stratos, yes. And more than that, we're going to be at the shop, not Mikey's house. So we're going to be digging around at IDR and seeing what other projects they've got going there at the moment. I know there's a Ferrari P4 Replica, which will no doubt be of interest to all you guys. Yes, indeedy, as promised, we are heading to Phoenix to 107 degrees temperature. Lovely. But we will be reviewing what Mike's been up to and progress on the Stratos. We are entering the stratosphere. Yes, I'm on my way to Phoenix. It's Stratos time and there's a jolly nice Cobra. Very slowly, as there appears to be a traffic jam, which both sat-navs took me back into. So here we are at IDR in Phoenix. ItalianRacingandDesign.com. Almost as messy as my workshop, but a lot more tools. Okay.
And then the front.
So this is a GT4, which is not the most popular of Ferraris. I personally really like them, probably because they're a wedgie shape, a bit like the Lancia Stratos. And both Baton cars, absolutely. And this one's a bit special. It's a Le Mans replica, so it's got flared arches, extra ventilation up here.
One-piece deck lid instead of the
deck lid. That's not there, Mike.
Engine lid and
it's missing.
Yeah.
And yeah, Mike was just telling me that it's going to have really neat exhausts that come out the back here. So twin, presumably.
Yeah.
And then a black mesh, bit like a F40 type deal.
And we're doing custom tail lights to get rid of the big square, lot of excess lights.
Right.
We took one of our GTO 288 GTO bumpers and we've put it in the front, made a front grille, a slotted front grille to go in the center, and then the headlights, instead of having pop-ups, they're
going to come down there
behind a grille mesh.
Oh, nice.
So
kind of Camaro style.
yeah.
Sweet. So this is just going to be a
hood, and then
single
there's
piece.
There's a big vent to let all your radiator heat out.
Nice. Almost as pretty as that, but not quite. Oh yeah.
I haven't torqued it down yet, but it's in.
And all the gear linkage is good now.
Yes.
And you did this.
Minor adjustments.
Was this your new piece? And that was to do what exactly?
This is your goes in and out of the gates, and so this is what moves you from first to second, third to fourth,
okay,
so on and so forth. And then
you put this extra piece on because the adjustment wasn't.
So what? The piece that was on here was bolted, and it flexed here.
Oh, I remember. What, the
And so it
original
was
Alpha
just,
piece?
yeah,
I
so the
remember.
original Alpha piece. And so I tried doing it with using the original Alpha, and I could get it to either go into first through fifth or second through reverse, but I couldn't get it to do both. So it just had too much play. And so since we didn't know exactly how Lister Bell does it, that's how we're going to do it.
Absolutely.
And it's now has lots of different adjustment, and we can
Cool.
fit it where you want it.
And this was the side that seal was wrong. You had to get a new seal.
No, so the seal is
Seal's the other
still
side?
here.
Okay.
It's sitting on my desk.
Okay.
It was on my list of things to take home that didn't get there.
So right now we got drive to one wheel. So
Yep.
go around in circles, right hand circles.
Yep. Slave cylinders in. Now had to put that in before the shift mechanism goes in.
And you got that last bolt in the frame.
Yep.
Was it that one down there? I can't
this one.
remember. Yeah.
So that was tricky.
So that was that last engine mount that was the most difficult to get in. I guess whichever way you do it, one's going to be the last and the most difficult. And we left the one that's most difficult to get to in the first place. But that's all now in place, so that's cool. And you may remember we had some fun and games with these special 7mm bolts that I got, Allen bolts, bottoming out before we could torque them down to the required 12 pounds. And we messed around with washers just to see if that was going to make the difference. And we've got some shorter bolts, and they look a little sturdier too. So that's all good news. And actually that one was tagged with the yellow, because we thought we'd strip the thread in there, but we haven't, or at least if we have, it's only at the top, so that bolt snugs down nicely to the required torque. So we'll get 13 more of those. Unlucky for some. You may remember this, the last time we visited Mike's house, the P4 in the backyard, looking quite sorry for itself. Well, it looks a lot better now, and apparently it's on its way to the UK. As is, to be completed. And I nearly forgot, it's got its right wheels on and the right tyres, although they look as though, I don't know, are they the right way around? Anyway, that looks a lot better. All the way from Italy. And I have to say, remarkably good value, these wheels. They were 2,500 English pounds, including shipping, all the way from Italy. And here's the 3D printed part with a tube insert onto the lambda sensor, which then fits onto the airbox. All ready to go. Bought this battery holding cage device, and it fits absolutely perfectly neatly into the existing Lister Bell tray. I guess it needs securing down there, because the tray had no kind of visible means of securing the battery in there, whereas at least this has these side supports with a item that goes over the top. Of course we have a jolly nice battery. Optima batteries, can't recommend them highly enough. Yeah, then that fits over the top just to hold it all in place. Obviously with the cable not going through the middle of it. Still quite a lot of bits and pieces to sort out and put on, as you can see. I think today we might look at the air intakes, get those numbered up, because of course I didn't number them when I took them off, so we've got to work out which ones go where, because they're all slightly different. All part of the pre-fit fit. Given we had to redesign the dash panel, we're just looking at getting gauges in good visibility from the driving seat. So yeah, for a normal sized person, it's a very spacious cockpit.
What's up? Is that in? What's the status of that? The back of the
You're in gear. So
Oh, there you go.
which way was that?
That was forwards.
Forwards? Okay. Keep going forward.
That's like I can push it more, but I don't want to break it.
Here, let it off a little bit.
Off. Okay, side to side.
Let me check.
Hold on there, test pilot.
She's breaking apart.
Cannot take the bar, Captain.
You actually want to move it just anywhere.
You're in neutral right now.
Yeah, great.
That's moving. Yeah.
First, second, I guess. Third,
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
fourth, fifth.
Nice. Come down the box. Wow. That's really neat, actually, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so cables are quite interesting. They're quite a bit of an art to get.
Get everything adjusted correctly.
Yeah. The nice thing.
That's got to be, what kind of gauge cable is that? It's like almost
It's a pretty
half
thick,
inch.
It's a pretty thick.
That's very difficult to get out of reverse.
Yeah, so reverse is tricky. Everything falls apart from there.
Yeah, that's really neat that you can just access the whole cooling
Yeah.
train.
Well, because
Not
even
that there
these
should ever be
being-
an issue with that.
These
Right.
being all one piece of Ferrari, you have to put the cooling tubes in before you put the motor in. So you really have to pay attention when you're assembling a car.
Are these the horns that go da 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 da? Is that special upgrade?
Dukes
that
of
you get?
Hazzard
Yeah, the
one.
Dukes of Hazzard one.
It's a nice looking car. I mean, there's a lot of attention to detail here. All these little brackets. Very much. Let's make it look good.
Yeah, I think it's a continuing development, and as he goes on, everyone has improved. They're learning as they go, right?
This, though, I would suggest we do what we did on the Noble and put a mesh
The mesh.
to keep that from getting.
Slightly lowered floor pan there for tall buggers.
That's
It's a floor mat for the mice.
That's the
So the mice can look,
What's this?
rubber. Doodly.
that's
That's just
Rub your
to
feet.
between the two skins,
that's your
right?
front door. Sure.
Yeah, it's a good job there's not foreskins.
That's for that mouse you were talking about. What was his name again? Was it? Wasn't Mickey, was it? It
the
was
one you
Stuart Little.
Stuart Little, that's it, yeah.
Do we have this covered somewhere?
Like the flywheel cover?
I would imagine so. Is there something else you've lost, Mike?
Don't worry, we're probably going to end it.
Actually, yeah. I don't like it. To Le Mans and back. That's what is so cool about Bizzarini.
Could ask them if they got a sump guard. Yeah, so what we've just noticed is the sump of this particular motor, which they may not have come across before, in fairness to them, is just lower by about, what, half an inch? Not even.
Yeah,
But
finger width.
But on
low
my
enough.
Alpine, on my Alpine, it's like 2 feet.
Lower.
Some is lower.
On a
Yes.
Bizzarini, it's 3 fingers off. Real simple.
We have a panel missing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took it out.
We did, okay, good. Okay.
It's over there.
Those shocks are a lovely piece of work, aren't they? top to tail on the ECU harness, so they're the fuel injection, right?
Yeah. So we've got your throttle position, which actually this is just an idle switch, which just tells you when you're in and out of an idle state instead of an actual sweep of your percentage.
Mm-hmm.
The schematic shows that each injector shares a wire, so basically it's running batch
So in
fiber.
pairs.
No, it's completely. It only sends one pulse signal for
wow.
every injector, so they're all going back to the same pin on the ECU and always supplying power. This is for your idle air control. Took quite a bit of time to figure out what's what and pairing with the so the only actual engine data that it uses is your coolant temp. It does not have an oil pressure monitoring or oil temp. And so that'll address your fueling strategy as it heats up.
Another good reason for having a very visible oil pressure gauge.
Yes, absolutely. It is up to you to shut off the car. Crank sensor, coil mounts, and then these are just two relays.
Okay.
This is
What do we got
for
back
your
here?
data.
Wow, there's a load of
For
stuff.
if you did have a OBD readout.
Oh, that's what it would plug into.
For programming the ECU. This is pretty well Alfa specific. And then this is what this cord would have gone up into your cabin, because this is your output for your fuel pump control and coil power. So this supplies power to
Which goes back down to there.
which
Yeah.
then goes to here.
Yeah.
And then another one of these wires is for your TAC readout. One of these two. This is battery power for your coil, and then I think it's this wire was your goes to the ECU to tell it when to fire for your ignition advance.
Mm-hmm.
O2 sensor,
Yep, that's fairly obvious. Yeah.
and then evap solenoid for emissions.
Which we don't need, right? Or we do need.
We are not using.
Right. So they'll just terminate.
Yeah, so we will either leave them open if it puts the ECU in a fault state. All the evap solenoid is it's a coil, and so we have to complete the circuit we have to find out what resistance it is, put a resistor in, make our own connector.
So convince it there's something.
Convince it that something is there.
Gotcha.
And that's pretty
much it, isn't it?
There's a couple wires.
So this is
on
the O2
here.
sensor, but
Yeah, so you have two wires. There's a signal. This is your signal, if I remember right, and then this is for your heater, your O2 sensor heater, and then one of them is your sensor.
Okay.
It's actually your readout.
right. Wow.
Yeah.
We're actually going to do something useful now. We'll try to anyway. And we've established that all three fluid reservoirs are individual, and we're going to fill them up and bleed the brakes and the clutch, I guess. Again, I have my not so glamorous assistant helping me.
I'm on minimum wage. No, I'm good.
It's a pretty large orifice, you can't miss.
As the actress said to the bishop.
sure it's tightened up the other end, or is it just going to piss out onto the floor?
Well, I would assume, actually,
Well, anyway, I think you get the general idea.
yeah, this is, yeah. You got a lot of frigging brake fluid. You got some.
Red button. So yes, we've located the bleed valve
And the finger.
and the finger and the rag.
The fickle finger of fate.
And yeah, so we're going to start pumping. So Michael thought it would be a good idea to actually hook up the clutch before we tried to fill it with fluid. Which is probably a good idea.
Perfectionist.
I know. We like doing things in stages, don't we? So not a lot to show for our efforts, but the brakes are now bled. The thing we noticed was that this clip here, when you release it, actually comes back and slams into the bodywork, because the bodywork comes out this way, whereas at the front it doesn't, because the body curves away from it. So what Mike suggested, which is a great idea, is actually shrink wrapping, heat wrapping these with a plastic, and potentially putting a little rubber foot inside here, inside the back side of it, so that it doesn't chip away at the gel coat or the wrap or whatever else I'm going to put on there. So a relatively good day. Got the brakes sorted out, got some other questions resolved, found some other bits and pieces. Top of the door trim, did I take any video of that? I don't remember. I guess I'll find out when I put this together. But yeah, that was kind of disappointing finish actually from Lister Bell. An oversight maybe, I don't know, but we're gonna rectify that and probably make a piece which we might sell back to Lister Bell. Who knows? We're going around the corner. It's quite nice doing this road with no traffic. So yes, a long day in Phoenix and considerable progress actually, although it didn't probably seem like it to you guys, but the gear shifting was really interesting to me with the cables. Never come across that before. Of course, IDR used that in the P4 replica recreation, as they like to call it, as well. And we made some progress on the dashboard. You know, it's the small things that count, and because the Lister Bell dashboard didn't work in the first place because of the fiberglass getting in the way of the gauges and everything, gives us a chance just to reposition everything minimally to make it just right for the driver, which is me. So that's important to me. It'd be useless for a 5'6" person, but they can redesign it themselves. On that subject, do bear in mind, if you're building your own Hawk or Lister Bell replica, Lancia Stratos, then we have all that CAD designed, ready to go. We can shift gauge holes around, put in new switch holes according to whatever switches you want to use, because we're not going to be using either the X19 or the Lister Bell alternatives. We're going to be sourcing our own switches, which will be in a later episode. And we're also going to be creating a kind of finishing cap for the very top of the door frame, because that seems to have been overlooked by everyone, honestly. So yeah, and it's really kind of untidy and nasty, and so there will be parts available from IDR, ItalianDesignAndRacing.com, as soon as I put that out on a video. Meantime, Mikey's going to be working on that final engine support. It's not really a mount, but it's the kind of strap that goes to the top of the motor, and he's going to be creating something for that. That's not going to be CAD, that's going to be kind of more manual touchy-feely type situation. So that'll be interesting for anyone who's mounting a 3-litre 12-valve Alfa motor from the mid-90s. We're also looking at the sump guard situation, and we've sourced one already that for a 164, an Alfa 164, from those guys in Colorado. Actually, that have supplied some bits already, very quick to deliver here in the US at least. Very helpful guys, and Mike's going to work out whether that's actually going to fit with the Stratos chassis. Obviously it's designed to fit the 164, but it's probably a lot easier starting with a ready-made piece and adapting it to fit rather than creating something from scratch. What else can I say apart from thanks for watching as usual, and do subscribe if you haven't already. There will be updates. Sorry it took so long for this one. Mike's been busy jetting all around the country, or driving all around the country actually, to Amelia Island for a show and delivering a car to Wisconsin. I mean, this is thousands of miles, you realise, over here. Yeah, there was a bit of a delay. There was a month kind of out the window where none of us could get down there, but things were still happening, as you saw. And progress is slower than I'd hoped, but still progress. So thanks for watching. Do subscribe, encourage your friends to watch my lunacy. Any of you lunatics out there going to build one of these Lister Bells or Hawk replicas, then good luck and keep watching. Hopefully some of what I put out there is helpful to you guys. And if you've already built one and you're just laughing at me, then please give me some advice. We'd be happy to hear from you.